There's a type of man she never fully forgets. She left him. Maybe you left her. Maybe it just fell apart. But somewhere, in a quiet moment, driving home, lying in bed next to someone new, she thinks about him. Not with regret, with something heavier than that. With the feeling that she let go of something she hasn't been able to replace. This video is about that man, who he is, how he thinks, and how you become him, starting today. I want you to think about something before we go any further. Think about the one person you've never fully gotten over. Not necessarily a love, maybe just a connection, a season, someone who left a mark. Now, ask yourself, what was it about them that you couldn't replicate in anyone who came after? Was it how they looked, or was it how they made you feel about yourself when you were with them? I'd bet everything it was the second one. Because here's the truth about the people we can't forget. We don't miss them for what they gave us. We miss them for who we were when we were with them. Hold that thought. It's the foundation of everything I'm about to show you. Let me tell you about a man I know. I'll call him Noah. Noah was the kind of man who walked into a room and nothing changed. No heads turned. No energy shifted. He was quiet. He was ordinary looking. He had a regular job. But women came back to Noah every single time. An ex he hadn't spoken to in 2 years sent him a message out of nowhere last spring. "I don't know why I'm doing this," she wrote. "I just keep thinking about you." Another woman, someone he'd dated briefly, nothing serious, called him 6 months after they stopped talking. "I tried to move on," she said, "but nothing felt as real as what we had." I asked Noah once, "What do you think makes them come back?" He thought about it for a long time. Then he said something I've never forgotten. "I think it's because I was never trying to make them stay." I'm going to come back to that. First, I need to show you what creates the kind of man a woman can't stop thinking about. And it starts with something almost nobody talks about. Emotional gravity. Not emotional availability, not emotional intelligence. Gravity. Think about it like this. Some people you meet, they're pleasant, they're warm, they're present. But when they leave the room, the energy stays exactly the same. Nothing shifts. And then there are people who carry something, a weight, a stillness, a sense that they are going somewhere and they know exactly where. When those people leave the room, you notice, not because they performed, not because they demanded attention, but because their presence created a gravitational pull. And when gravity disappears, you feel its absence. That's what women can't replicate with the men who come after. Not the conversations, not the romance, the gravity. Stop for a second. Think about the last person you tried to impress. Did you try to be more interesting, more funny, more attentive? You were performing. And performance, no matter how good, creates zero gravity. Because gravity isn't something you do. It's something you are. A man with gravity doesn't try to be remembered. He just lives, fully, purposefully, unapologetically, and the memory creates itself. So the question is, how do you build that? 3 qualities. Every man she comes back to has all 3, and none of them are what you expect. Quality 1. He made her feel something she couldn't explain. Not butterflies, not excitement, something deeper than that. He made her feel like she was in the presence of someone who didn't need her, but genuinely chose her. There's a difference between a man who is with you because he needs company, and a man who is with you because out of everything available to him, he looked around and decided you were worth his time. One creates comfort. The other creates something closer to reverence. Noah never needed anyone. He had a full life, a mission he cared about, friends who mattered to him, places he was going. When he gave you his attention, you felt it. Not because he performed attentiveness, but because you knew his attention was not something given easily. And what is rare is always valuable. Ask yourself, does the woman in your life feel like she earned your attention? Or does she know she already has all of it without doing anything at all? Quality 2. He never chased her version of him. This one is subtle. This one is the one most men miss entirely. When we are around someone we care about, we shape ourselves to fit their approval. We notice what makes them smile, and we do more of it. We notice what makes them pull back, and we do less of it. Slowly, imperceptibly, we start performing a character designed to keep them happy, and they start to love that character. But they never forget the man they first met, the one before the adjustments, before the accommodations, before the slow erosion of self. And here's the cruelest part. The more we shape ourselves to keep someone, the more we lose the thing that attracted them in the first place. I watched this happen to a friend of mine. He met a woman who loved that he was ambitious, direct, sometimes difficult to reach. 6 months in, he was canceling his projects to spend more time with her, softening his opinions so they wouldn't argue, rearranging his life around her schedule. She left him 8 months after that. "I don't know what happened," she told a mutual friend. "He became someone different, someone I didn't recognize anymore." She wasn't wrong. He had disappeared. Not physically, he had disappeared from the inside. And a woman cannot miss a man who no longer exists. I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to answer honestly. Are you still the man you were when she first met you? Or have you slowly become a version of yourself designed to keep her happy? There's nothing shameful in the question. We all do it. But the men women come back to, they never fully did. They held something back. Not coldness, not selfishness. They held back their core, the part of them that existed before her, that will exist after her, that no relationship can touch. That man, she never got all of him. And what we never fully have, we never fully stop wanting. Quality 3. He left her better than he found her. This is the one that separates the men women miss from the men women resent, because it's possible to be unforgettable for the wrong reasons. The man she can't stop thinking about, the one she comes back to, he didn't just make her feel desired. He made her feel like a better version of herself was possible. Around him, she was funnier, more honest, more herself, not because he told her she was great, because he expected her to be. He had standards, not just for himself, but for the people in his orbit. He didn't accept less from others than he accepted from himself. And that expectation, that quiet, unmovable belief that the person across from him was capable of more, is the most powerful thing a man can communicate. Not with words, with how he shows up, with what he tolerates, with what he walks away from. Noah once told me he ended a relationship because she'd started speaking to him in a way he didn't accept. Not dramatically, not with an ultimatum. He just said, "I don't do that." And he meant it. She apologized, changed, became more careful with how she treated him, not because he demanded it, because he valued himself enough to make it non-negotiable. And she respected him more than anyone she'd been with. Even after they ended, years later, she told a friend, "He's the only man who ever made me want to be better." That's the legacy of a man with real standards, not intimidation, inspiration. So let me pull this together. The man she comes back to is not the most handsome, not the richest, not the most romantic. He is the man who had gravity, who carried himself with the quiet certainty of someone who knows exactly who he is. He is the man who never fully gave himself away, who held his core intact through every season, every relationship, every storm. And he is the man who left her better, who expected more from her than anyone else had, because he expected more from himself. These 3 things, gravity, integrity, standards, not techniques, not tactics, a way of being. Now, how do you build this if you don't have it yet? Step 1. Reclaim your vision, not your goals, not your 5-year plan. Your vision. The picture of the man you are becoming. A man with gravity knows where he's going, not because he has it all figured out, but because he's in motion. He wakes up in the morning and the day has a direction, a project he's building, a skill he's developing, a standard he's holding himself to. That motion, that sense of a life in forward movement, is the source of gravity. You can't fake it, you can't perform it, you build it, one decision at a time, one morning at a time, one non-negotiable at a time. Step 2. Protect your core. Identify the things about yourself that are not negotiable, your values, your direction, your standards. And the next time you feel the pull to adjust them, to soften them, to hide them, to edit them for someone else's comfort, don't. The parts of you that you protect most fiercely are the parts she will remember longest. Because nobody falls in love with someone's accommodations. They fall in love with someone's essence, and you can only offer your essence if you haven't traded it away. Step 3. Raise what you accept. From others, from yourself. The standard you hold for how people treat you tells everyone in your life exactly what your value is. A man who accepts disrespect teaches people he can be disrespected. A man who walks away from what doesn't meet his standard teaches people he has a standard worth meeting. You don't need to be harsh. You don't need to be cold. You just need to mean it when something isn't acceptable. And the moment you mean it, everything around you starts to realign. I want to go back to what Noah said. I think it's because I was never trying to make them stay. When I first heard that, I didn't fully understand it. But now I do. A man who is trying to make someone stay is a man whose energy is pointed outward. He's monitoring. He's adjusting. He's managing. A man who isn't trying to make someone stay has his energy pointed inward. He's building. He's growing. He's becoming. And the paradox, the beautiful, maddening paradox, is that the man whose energy is inward is the one she can't stop thinking about, because she was never the center of his gravity. He was, and she was drawn into it. So here's the man you're becoming. A man who walks into a room and carries something. A man who gives his presence as a gift, not as a performance. A man whose core is so solid that relationships move around it, not through it. A man who leaves people not just wanting more of him, but wanting more of themselves. That man doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He doesn't adjust his shape to fit someone else's expectations. He simply becomes so fully, so completely, so relentlessly that the people who walked away eventually find themselves walking back. Not because he waited for them, but because he became someone worth returning to. Write gravity in the comments if this hit you somewhere real. Just that word, gravity. I read every single one. And if you know a man who needs to hear this today, send it to him. Because some men are one video away from becoming the man they were always supposed to be. See you in the next one.